Hello and welcome to State of the Economy. Today we have with us Mr. B K Chaturvedi, Member Planning Commission and former Cabinet Secretary, with whom we will discuss the state of the energy and power sector. Welcome to our show, Mr. Chaturvedi. I will start with a framing question as to where is the power sector headed today, especially after the big package that the government recently brought to revive the hugely loss-making state electricity boards, and how is the package being implemented?
Well, the power sector was till around the 10th plan, adding capacities of around 10,000, around 20,000 megawatt every 5 years. In the 11th plan, there was a quantum jump. It added around 55,000 megawatt capacity. And there were difficulties of domestic production. So those capacities also started come up now. Many of them, the private sector players have come up. BHEL had manufacturing capacity problems. They had capacity of less than 10,000 megawatt. Now they are ramping up to around 20,000 megawatt per annum. Similarly, L&T came. Bharat Forge came. There are other private companies.
So you basically you're saying that we had 1 lakh megawatt capacity until say 2002-03, and in the last 10 years we've added another 1 lakh.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So there's a quantum jump, and with that the losses have also jumped. Can you explain how?
See, what has happened is that as the capacities went up, while in percentage terms the losses gradually started coming down, though not what one would like to, but in absolute terms, since the overall generation itself was larger, therefore in absolute numbers these went up, because there are certain percentages.
And the accumulated losses today are 2 lakh crore, right?
Accumulated losses are about 1.5 lakh to 2 lakh.
2 lakh crore, yeah. And so how are you dealing with these losses? Are you suggesting that most state electricity boards are selling power at below cost price?
No, what's happened is these are accumulated losses. So accumulated losses are overall include quite often depreciation. Many state governments have tried to provide support to their electricity boards, and many of the electricity boards have borrowed heavily from the banks.
Yeah, but incrementally also you said before subsidies, you're making, state electricity boards are making collectively losses of 40,000 crore every year?
Well, before the grant of subsidy, they do make a loss of around 30 to 40,000 crores. But after the subsidy is paid, because government has to pay subsidy on agriculturists, which they have asked the electricity boards to provide free power or any other concessions.
This is center pays or state or both?
No, state government. These are all the state utilities which are paying.
So after subsidies, 20,000 crore is the annual loss.
20,000 crores is about that.
And this is what accumulates every year.
And this is what used to be accumulating because the utilities were not improving their tariff structures. They were not improving their loss position by making investments in the transmission and distribution. This is now gradually changing.
So this is what the package is trying to address this problem, right? Accumulated losses every year?
Absolutely. Package is trying to see that this flow of money to the utilities starts, and the power sector gets more strong, because unless the losses of the power sector, they get structured in a way so that they are able to pay their current dues well, and then they are taking up with other measures so that they revise their tariff, reduce their losses. So the process then becomes more economically viable, and power generators.
You're essentially trying to make the state electricity board viable through a set of measures, right? Now part of the package is that the state electricity boards will have some relief on bank loans from banks, and partly there will be some relief from RBI, if I am not mistaken. Some state government bonds will be, accepted by banks.
The package is that whatever the long-term loan is, the utilities will pay, the DISCOMs will pay, distribution utilities. Whatever is the short-term loan, that will be restructured, and that restructuring, 50% of that will be paid by the state governments. Because in any case, they had given guarantees, so they had to pay anyway. That will be paid by the state government over a period of time for which they will be permitted to issue necessary bonds, for this purpose. The remaining 50% restructured loan will be paid by the utilities, and for that there are certain conditionalities for revision of tariff, for reducing losses, for other measures, for adopting model regulations. Those things we hope will enable the power sector to become healthy and strong.
Okay. So, Mr. Chaturvedi, you are saying that for this to happen, they'll have to raise tariffs and they'll have to become efficient, and only then will they be able to pay those who are supplying them power, the generators, etc. Is that what you're saying?
No, what we are saying is that one of the major problems with the sector has been that as the cost of fuel goes up, they have not been revising their tariff regularly. Okay. For example, Tamil Nadu and Rajasthan, they were not revising their tariff. Now
so they are selling it below cost price?
Absolutely. Now they have started revising their tariff. Rajasthan revised it and Tamil Nadu revised it by a hefty margin. And in the last 1 year, most of the state utilities have started revising their tariff. So it is important that whatever is the cost of fuel, they pay and revise their tariff in accordance with that. They keep on reducing their losses so that the consumer doesn't have to bear the burden of their inefficiencies. Okay. And then the sector can get strong.
Basically, what you're essentially saying is that for the accumulated losses, this package will help them borrow over a longer period and repay over a longer period. And in the meanwhile, they will become viable in terms of their current operations.
Absolutely.
So that they are able to pay back their loans over a longer period.
Absolutely. The current operations will become viable and they will create certain surpluses with which they will be able to service their loan which they had taken earlier. They will be able to borrow more and expand and invest in the transmission and distribution sector, and thereby meet the requirements of new customers and make their network more efficient and reduce their losses.
Okay. Now, could you give us an idea of which states are weaker than the others? There are some states, I believe, which are doing all right. Like Gujarat is doing all right. Maharashtra seems to be all right, with having had separate feeder created for agriculture. So, closer monitoring of agriculture losses, etc.
Number of states are had done well. As you mentioned, Gujarat and Maharashtra, they have been traditionally doing well. West Bengal was earlier doing well.
But now
it's Andhra Pradesh had very low, very efficient utilities, and they have very low losses.
Yeah. What about Tamil Nadu and other states?
But Tamil Nadu also used to be efficient, low losses. But Tamil Nadu suffered from the problem that they didn't revise their tariff. Yeah. So while on the one hand,
because suddenly Tamil Nadu used to be a good state, but now there are huge power cuts in Tamil Nadu. A lot of complaints coming from Tamil Nadu.
Absolutely. The reason is that the Tamil Nadu didn't add up adequate capacities.
Okay.
And they had huge losses because they didn't revise their tariff from time to time, even though their transmission loss was low. I mean, it is like saying that if you are generating power of given.
So you're saying they didn't revise the tariff upwards?
Absolutely.
So we'll discuss this in greater detail, but after a small break, please don't go away and keep watching RSTV. Welcome back to State of the Economy. We are having a very interesting conversation on India's energy sector with Mr. B K Chaturvedi, Member Planning Commission. So you were talking about that how even states which were managing their power utilities well earlier, like Tamil Nadu, they've also gone into losses because they didn't revise tariff upwards. Now, what is the reason that even well-functioning states did not revise their tariff upwards? Now, do you think there is political pressure? Just as there is the oil prices are very politicized, do you find that electricity prices are also becoming politicized, in the sense it's becoming difficult to raise tariffs in spite of having regulators in place.
Well, yes, I will say that in spite of having regulators, partly the regulators haven't done their job well. And I do feel very strongly that this is an area on which there has been a strong neglect and a lack of appreciation in the political circles, that if you don't revise the tariff, sooner or later you are going to kill this goose which is laying the eggs. Now I find that there is
some appreciation
of this view.
After this package you have brought
After the package, even before that, I found that gradually the chief ministers have started appreciating that unless you revise the tariff, the sector won't be viable, and therefore the bank will not give any loans.
For new investments.
For new investments.
As you said, Tamil Nadu faced the problem of...
Yes, absolutely.
There was no new investment because the tariffs were not viable.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, therefore, there was a problem. Now they have started revising their tariff. They have trying to adopt their model regulations. We are hopeful that after this package, we will be able to change
the way they work.
The way they work, and if they are able to meet their current operations in an efficient manner, reduce the losses, and are able to meet their current obligations, and then service the loan which they have taken, then more funds will come to the sector. And as more funds come to the sector will expand well, and further transmission distribution losses will get further reduced. Our objective is that they should reduce it. They have said 15%, but we would like to be in the single digit, which is what the international norm is.
So coming back to this politicization of tariffs, since we are still a developing economy and a lot of people are poor, the agriculturists, they find difficult to pay for electricity. How do you view this controversy around coal? Because nearly 50% of our power is still coal generated, right? Even at the end of the 12th plan, even at 2020, 50% of our power will be coal generated. The controversy around coal allocations has created this perception that coal blocks, cheap coal blocks which have been given to coal miners or companies which are mining coal, the lower costs are not getting transferred to the end consumer of power. Now, after the coal controversy, we hear that the government is now trying to again force people whom coal blocks have been allocated for power, captive power. They are being told that you will have to sell it to state electricity boards at cheaper regulated rates rather than sell it to straight at merchandise rates to the Power Trading Corporation. Is that happening? I mean, are you working towards it?
Well, no. Let me say that, let me try to put it slightly in a different perspective. Yeah. See, first of all, it is quite clear that not only us in India, but both China and US, which are other major coal producing nations, they too will have to depend very substantively on
like
coal,
us, probably 50%.
Like us in the long run. China already has more than 700,000 megawatt of coal-based capacity, and we have only less than around 150,000 megawatts. So, in fact, we are going to depend on coal for quite some time, and as you very rightly observed.
So, therefore, we need a transparent way of allocating coal for power.
We need coal now for power much more than ever before. Secondly, it is also quite clear that as we do, there is a need for a reforms in the way the Coal India and others function, because there is a need for more private investments to come up and expand coal-based power. And
because Coal India is not the best and most efficient miner of coal. Yeah.
Absolutely, and more than that, there is a need for competition. See, competition will create more efficient mining, better practices, and that will result in a more efficient utilization of our natural resources. So, it's quite clear that we need to utilize our resources in a very efficient manner. Thirdly, as far as this coal blocks allocations and their coal is concerned, it's quite clear that whatever is used for their own usage, say for the use of any steel mills or any cement plants or others, that is meant for their own usage.
Okay.
So whatever is meant for their own usage, that is their own internal
No,
matter.
I'm talking about the ones that are used for power.
No,
generating
as far
power.
as the power sector is concerned, it is useful that all such persons who have coal blocks, they provide power, and their benefits also must be passed on
to the consumer.
To the consumers. So, if to the extent these are not passed on, I think this is a question that has to be discussed with them. A policy has to be seen, but those benefits must be passed on to the consumer. You cannot really say that you will try to extract benefits which are unintended out of that.
Yeah, because many companies are using 100% of the coal for to sell merchandise power, not necessarily to state electricity boards through a power purchase agreement.
Well, there can be a certain share so that part of efficiencies, benefits can be passed on. But by and large, it will be good that if this power is passed on to the state electricity boards, which is regulated power, and if it comes as a regulated power structure, then that will be the proper thing for these coal utilization to happen.
And Mr. Chaturvedi, how do you ensure that Coal India Limited really ramps up production and gives a guarantee to producers of power that they will supply coal? There was this attempt to bring Coal India Limited into some sort of a kind of guarantee framework, but they were shying away from giving any sort of written assurance of continued supply and avoiding wanting to avoid penalties.
Well, see, the fuel supply agreements question which had come up, Coal India had taken up. Earlier there used to be the supplies of coal, but there used to be some sort of an MOUs, and under that the fuel supplies would take place. Now that a large number of private players have come and they would like to borrow from the bank, and they would have to have some guarantees that they have supplies of fuel. For that, fuel supply agreements are generally the internationally.
So are they in place, fuel supply agreements?
They are, many of them now, they are trying to, all the cobwebs have been sorted out.
Well, I was told that Coal India is resisting signing those agreements.
Well, Coal India, yes, Coal India had a point of view because they were, earlier they were committing only to the national companies, nationalized companies like NTPC and others. Now they were committing to the private players. So they were not sure whether they will be able to meet their commitments, and therefore the penalties. And secondly, the Coal India felt that it did not have adequate number of blocks, adequate ramping up ability because of the difficulties of environmental clearances, land availability and others.
So we'll take a small break here and come back to environmental clearance, very critical factor. Please don't go away and keep watching Rajya TV. Welcome back to State of the Economy. We are having a conversation with Mr. B K Chaturvedi, Member Planning Commission. So you were talking about lack of environmental clearance, which is also a factor coming in the way of ramping up of coal production by Coal India and others. Where is that situation? I mean, how is the environment clearance working out now after we've been given assurances that a national investment board will look at, timely clearance of from environment to release coal blocks?
Well, there are many proposals on the table for expediting environmental clearances. What had happened was that in 2009 and odd, prior to that in the 11th plan, the rate of growth of coal was around 7% per annum. In 2 years of the last 2 years of the plan, 10, 11 and 11, 12, the rate of growth of coal production was 0. There was no growth at all. Because
what would you attribute that to?
Well, partly part of the reason was that we started having this policy where people were concerned that they may not get clearances. This policies of go and no-go came. that had its impact.
So you're saying that kind of disrupted the
growth
in coal production,
overall growth production, and that had created problems for the companies, and it was both for the private sector as well as.
Which is why Prime Minister once said that you can't have a 7-8% GDP growth if your coal production growth is zero.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can't really. Power and energy is absolutely essential. So that was one of the reasons. Now what is happening is that the overall environment is improving, with everyone emphasizing this point that unless you have coal, unless you have fuel, you cannot generate power, and the power investments would go waste. We find that in the first 6 months, the production of coal has gone up by around 8.5 or 9%. In fact, in the month of October, there was a good growth of more than 10%.
Okay, it is going up.
Yes, it has jumped up, coal production. Availability for the power sector has also gone up. It was more than 8.5%.
So you are saying that in the last few months, it's back to some 9-10% growth after being zero in 2011.
Absolutely. It is the power, Coal India's production has gone up, and also this emphasis to the.
So recent initiatives by the government are bearing fruit.
Yeah, absolutely. You find that there were concerns from the private sector. They were not really sitting on the mines and not mining it, those captive mines.
Okay.
The threat of cancellation and others has also worked, and the captive mine generation is also picking up.
So the recent threat of cancellation has actually buoyed the private sector also to ramp up coal production.
Absolutely. Many of them who were sleeping on this and on the ground that they were not getting environmental clearance or land, and they thought they could get away with that, they have also gone up. The Coal India, which was not really in the best of this thing, it also has now got its act together. So as a result, the overall availability of coal has gone up in the market, though the requirement is still large. There are still many power plants which need coal and which they haven't been able to provide, but that is now gradually getting sorted out.
Sir, how many megawatts of power capacity is in the pipeline which requires coal today? Can you give us a rough idea?
Well, I mean, at the moment around 8,000 megawatt capacity some months back was there, which didn't have coal, and it was ready. And then this number gradually, now the coal was provided. So now this number, I understand, gone down to around 6,500, 7,000. But new power plants come up which need coal. So this capacity is going to be there till the next 1 year or so, in which we must be able to provide coal to them and generate power from these plants, which is idle capacity.
The other question that comes to mind is, do you think sometimes do you feel we need a comprehensive fuel policy for the power sector, since power sector drives economic growth? I find that there's a very messy fuel policy even on the gas side. There's a lot of gas-based power capacity which have come up over the last 5-6 years on the promise that they will get gas, but our gas policy is mired in all kinds of controversies. The KG basin production not getting ramped up, in fact falling. Outside of KG basin, which Reliance is doing, there are other exploration blocks which are also not taking off because of, again, for lack of clearance from Environment Ministry, Defense. So what are we doing with our gas reserves? I'm told that there's $1.5 trillion worth of gas, recoverable gas, to be explored, which India can do over a period of 15 years and actually reduce its energy import bill, oil import bill, by $100 billion a year. But why is there so much lethargy in exploring gas?
Well, let me first answer your coal question and I'll come back to gas then. See, as far as the...
No, I'm asking about gas in the context of powering power.
The power sector, okay. Yeah. So, just to briefly mention about the coal, that there is, in the coming years, there will be need for coal, and we must expand our coal production. The reason why the fuel policy changes required are faster environmental clearances on the coal sector.
On the coal side, you said it's happening.
Coal sector.
And now on the gas side, yeah.
Now on the gas side. On the gas side, what has happened is that we were expecting a lot of hype around the KG D6 basin, and it was thought that this capacity will go up to as much as 120 mmSCMD. Some said 80 mmSCMD. Unfortunately, it has gone down to anywhere around 25 to 30 mmSCMD, which is sad. Now, question is this: that there are two separate set of issues. One is the fact that what should be the pricing policy on this gas. Now, already government has appointed a committee, and
there is a Rangarajan committee, which
Dr. Rangarajan. This will be. I'm a member of that committee.
Okay. Beyond 2014, what will be the
we
pricing?
are giving that report shortly, and I think in the next 1 month that report should be there with the Prime Minister. They will then take a call on that.
Are you also coming up with some new idea in regard to the way gas exploration contract should be signed, as opposed to the earlier one, which was cost plus based?
Yeah. We are suggesting not only gas, but actually exploration contract should be signed. That's one of the terms.
On a more revenue share basis or something like that?
On no, the committee's recommendation, they are just firming up. Okay. But what is happening is, so that there are less problems in implementing it, less difference in views between the government and the concessionaire.
Less legal disputes. Yeah.
Less legal disputes, yes. Yeah. They are trying to do that. On the gas issue, it is quite clear that we have now two sorts of issues to be sorted out. First, this issue of how much extra gas will come in the coming years. Now, there a large number of blocks are already on the pipeline, hoping to produce gas. We have ONGC, which is expecting 2016-17. GSPC gas, which is expecting in 2016-17, and the Reliance gas, which as they make their investments now in this thing, they will also improve
other areas also. Okay.
Other areas also.
There could be improvement.
There could be improvement.
So you're suggesting that there could be improvements in gas production also?
Absolutely. Then there's the shale gas. The shale gas may come in slightly longer term perspective, but that will come.
That also.
And the third...
The shale gas revolution in the US will also impact us?
Absolutely. I mean, the shale gas revolution is in fact impacting the global prices.
Energy prices also.
Energy prices.
It's driving down coal prices also.
And the gas prices enormously, driving down the overall energy, because the US is a large producer and consumer.
Okay.
So that has an enormous impact on that.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Mr. B K Chaturvedi, for talking to us. That's all we have in this edition of State of the Economy. We'll be back with you soon. Thank you for watching.